that timing is everything. I left mine. No, I don't have one anyway. Here's something interesting that somebody shared with me this week, and I tell you what, I see this for what it is. Teen fears over digital drug craze. Videos posted on YouTube show a young girl freaking out and leaping in fear, a teenager shaking violently, and a young boy in extreme distress. This is the world of what's called I-dosing, the new craze sweeping the internet in which teenagers use so-called digital drugs to change their brains in the same way as real-life narcotics. They believe the repetitive. Now, I tell you, I want to stop right here. Parents, beware. Parents, please beware of what your kids are listening to and what they're doing on the internet. I'm reporting this not to give somebody an idea. I'm reading the article. There's no way in the world I'm going to go to YouTube and find out what that is by listening to it. I don't need to research LSD by taking it. I don't need it. Okay? So just please be careful and watch out for what your kids are doing. Listen to the wording here. They believe the repetitive, have we talked about that before with contemplative prayer? Drone-like music, will give them a high that takes them out of reality, only legally available and downloadable on the internet. The craze has so far been popular among teenagers in the U.S., but given how easily available the videos are, it's just a matter of time before it catches on in Britain. Those who come up with the doses claim, listen to this, different tracks mimic different sensations you can feel by taking drugs such as ecstasy or smoking cannabis. The reactions have been partially skeptical, but some songs have become wildly popular, receiving nearly 500,000 hits on YouTube. And I want you to think about this for a minute. Think about these vibrations and waves. We've talked about waves before, the waves and the floods of ungodly men. Think about the symbol for the age of Aquarius, these two waves, sound waves. I want you to think about Lucifer and how he operates. I mean, my goodness, good preachers have been preaching against music, certain music and rock and roll for years. Why? Because the music has an effect upon the human brain. It does. There's no way around it. So listen to this. Ezekiel 28:13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. This is Lucifer. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. Listen to this. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created. Two essences of music here. The pipes provide melody and harmony, number one, and number two, the tabrets were percussive instruments. The beat, the rhythm, the repetitive rhythm, grinding into these young people's heads. My goodness, are we not smart enough to realize that since the advent of rock and roll music in this country, we've lost our country. We've lost all of our churches. We've lost them to rock and roll. We've lost them because of rock and roll. And now somebody, and I guarantee you, that whoever came up with this I-dosing music was being fed this by familiar spirits. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. I mean, after all, these people write these lyrics to these songs being under the influence of a drug of some kind or under the direct influence of a demonic personality. And there's no doubt in my mind that devils are writing this music, and our kids are listening to it, and it is bringing them into an altered state of consciousness. It is allowing them, and I really, if you do not have a copy of our video, The Mystery of Contemplative Prayer, I explain that. I explain how that brain thing works in that video, and I'm not a genius, but just some things are just easy. Remember, we talked about a female half of our brain and a male half of our brain. The male is the guys working in cubicles, and it's the logical part of our brain. The female part is the let's forget the rules, and our brain operates in cycles. And I want you to think about who the devil went to in Genesis 3. Did he go to the male? He went to the female. And I'm just saying to you, get a copy of that video if you don't have it. We'll send it to you. But the devil is using music, and he's using this is scary stuff to me. Look in Daniel chapter 3, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. By the way, this is an image of Pan, which is like Baphomet there, and he's playing his pipes. All the Pan pipes, and Pan has a way of getting into people's minds by playing his music. Man, what a dangerous world we live in. Let's shift gears here. Genetically modified foods and toxic chemicals are finding their way to your food table thanks to the government. Genetically modified foods and toxic chemicals are finding their way into the food you eat and other products at an alarming rate. The USDA, the EPA, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services are allowing genetically modified food and other products to be approved without considering or even knowing their negative impacts on human health. Pollinators, the very food chain that we depend on, and other key agricultural and climate issues. 163 regulatory agency reviews have been completed involving tomatoes, cotton, corn, canola, papaya, and all this other stuff. Most of these basic foods are used worldwide in the United States. The impact of the approval and introduction of these agricultural products will have a long-lasting effects. It will take years to determine their harm on human health and the environment. Once introduced, cross-pollination will contaminate existing plants, flowers, and other crops, changing their makeup as well. I didn't know plants wore makeup, but anyway, it says they do. The article goes on to say that the USDA database for the above 163 GE crops lists the companies and universities involved in genetically modifying our crops to increase their why I tell you what, why is this Bible so right? The love of money is the root of all evil. To increase their profits and make us more dependent on their seeds, fertilizers, and chemicals. The list of chemical companies, seed companies, and universities includes, but is not limited to, Monsanto. Got something to show you about them here in a little bit. Monsanto, Dow AgroSciences, DuPont, DNA Plant Technology Corporation, Ciba-Geigy Corporation, Mycogen, Calgene Incorporation, Agritrope, and all of these others. DeKalb Genetics Corporation. The listing of trait categories varies from herbicide tolerances to altered fatty acids and oils, insect and virus resistance, male sterility, and phytate degradation. I don't even know what some of this stuff is, along with other trait modifications. One of the most interesting and widespread of all the categories is delayed fruit ripening in tomatoes and cantaloupes. Basically, genetically altered, genetically modified foods. There's a documentary online that deals with this, and I'm going to do more research on it because, and I appreciate one of our astute watchers who's learning how to count things. And they sent me this video and they said, Pastor Mike, watch this video now. It's about 30 minutes long, which, you know, sometimes I have time to watch it, sometimes I don't. But they said, you've got to see at the 20-some-odd minute point, you've got to see these two road signs in front of Monsanto. Now, Monsanto was based here in St. Louis. And so she said, you've got to see this. And I want to show you a clip from this video. You can find this on Google. The entranceway to Monsanto's headquarters. Notice that there's two speed limit signs. And they're like weird. One says speed limit 17. Now, who in the world drives 17 miles an hour? Anyway, speed limit 17. But there's another one. Right next to it, private property, employees and visitors only. Speed limit, 29 miles an hour. Who drives 29 miles an hour? Now, which is it? Is it 17 miles an hour or is it 29 miles an hour? Do the math. 17 and 29. 46. Just happens to be the number of chromosomes where our DNA is stored. But I'm sure that Monsanto, who genetically modifies everything they can get their hands on, probably, you know, didn't know that when they put the signs up. They probably didn't. And you know me, I'm looking at logos. I went to Monsanto's website. Here's their logo, Monsanto Imagine. Well, we've got a vine here, you see, because God told the Israelites in